The laughter came first, sharp and careless, echoing across the polished marble floor of the luxury car showroom. It cut through the air just seconds after a poorly dressed man calmly stated that he would buy 5 BMWs, as if he had just announced something ridiculous instead of life-changing. His jacket was faded, his shoes worn thin, and his hands showed the quiet roughness of years of hard labor. To everyone watching, he looked like a man who had wandered into the wrong world. What no one knew was that, within a single minute, the room would fall silent, and every laughing face would be frozen in disbelief. Before we go deeper into this story, take a moment to pause. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that you should never judge a person by their appearance, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. The man's name was Michael Turner, and he stood alone near the entrance of the showroom in downtown Chicago, Illinois, feeling the familiar weight of invisible judgment pressed down on his shoulders. He had felt it his entire life. Michael was the kind of man people overlooked, stepped around, or silently dismissed. Once, he'd been full of promise, a construction worker with dreams bigger than the skyline he helped build. Years ago, a workplace accident shattered his leg and ended his career. Medical bills piled up, friends drifted away. His marriage fell apart under the strain, leaving him with nothing but an old pickup truck, a storage unit full of memories, and a quiet faith that refused to die. For years, Michael survived by doing odd jobs, fixing fences, painting garages, and sleeping in places where no one asked questions. He never begged, never complained, and never explained his story. He believed dignity was something you carried inside, not something others gave you. People mistook his silence for weakness. They mistook his worn clothes for failure. What they didn't see was the small notebook he kept in his pocket, filled with careful numbers, prayers, and plans written during sleepless nights. The day Michael walked into the showroom was not an accident. It was the final step of a journey that had begun with a single decision years earlier, when he chose not to give up after losing everything. During his recovery, confined and desperate, Michael had learned about land investments from a retired neighbor named Thomas Reed, a quiet man with strong faith and patient wisdom. Thomas had taught him how forgotten pieces of land, dismissed by everyone else, could become valuable with time and faith. Michael invested every dollar he earned into neglected properties in rural Indiana, trusting that God could turn overlooked ground into blessing. For years, nothing happened. He was mocked, doubted, and ignored. Still, he held on. Inside the showroom, sales associates glanced at Michael and quickly looked away. Their attention was fixed on well-dressed customers with polished shoes and confident smiles. Michael walked slowly between the cars, his fingers brushing the cool metal, not with desire but with gratitude. He wasn't there to prove anything. He was there to fulfill a promise he had made to himself, one that had kept him alive through the darkest nights. What no one knew was that, just weeks earlier, a major development project had been approved on the land Michael owned. Overnight, his forgotten acres became prime property. The offer that came to him was more money than he had ever imagined holding in his hands. When he signed the papers, Michael didn't celebrate. He bowed his head and thanked God quietly, promising to stay the man he had been when he had nothing. As laughter continued behind him, Michael reached into his jacket and pulled out his phone. With steady hands, he opened his banking app and completed a simple transfer. 1 minute later, the laughter stopped. The manager, a man named Robert Hayes, stared at the screen in disbelief as confirmation numbers appeared, clean and undeniable. The room felt suddenly smaller, heavier. The poorly dressed man was no longer invisible. But Michael didn't smile. He didn't look around for reactions. Instead, his thoughts drifted to the nights he had gone hungry, to the people who had helped him without asking questions, to Thomas Reed, who had passed away before seeing the fruit of his guidance. Michael remembered promising that if his life ever turned around, he would use it to lift others up. As paperwork moved forward, the mood in the showroom shifted. Respect replaced mockery, but it came too late to mean much to Michael. He understood something most people never do. Respect based on wealth is fragile, but respect based on character lasts forever. He noticed a young employee named Sarah Collins, standing quietly in the corner. Her eyes filled not with greed but with awe. She reminded him of himself years ago, uncertain but hopeful. Michael later learned she was working 2 jobs to support her younger brother after their parents passed away. Michael purchased the cars not for himself, but for a purpose. 2 were donated to a local church outreach in Chicago that helped families get to work and medical appointments. 1 went to a veterans organization that had once helped him during his lowest point. Another was gifted anonymously to a single father struggling to keep his job. The final car, the one people assumed he would keep, he gave to Sarah, along with a note reminding her that God sees the unseen and rewards faithfulness. As news of what happened spread, people began to talk. Some felt ashamed, others felt inspired. Michael returned to his quiet life, choosing a small apartment and simple meals, finding joy not in luxury but in peace. He began funding rehabilitation programs for injured workers, determined to give others the support he never had. His story was never about cars or money. It was about perseverance, humility, and the power of faith. If this story has touched your heart even a little, please take a moment now to like this video, share it with someone who might be struggling, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps stories of hope reach the people who need them most. Before we end, we have a special request. Please comment below with the words "faith over judgment" if you believe that no one should ever be measured by their appearance. Michael Turner never returned to that showroom again, but the echo of that moment stayed with everyone who witnessed it. A poorly dressed man walked in carrying nothing but faith and walked out having changed lives forever. And somewhere beyond the noise of laughter and judgment, a quiet truth remained. God often hides miracles in the most unexpected places, waiting for the right moment to reveal them.